Good evening, everybody, and whoa, will you look at that? Ross Atkins is alive. We are back. The Blue Jays did a massive move, signing right-handed pitcher Jeff Hoffman to a 3-year, $33 million deal. This is an emergency episode of Buds and Blue Jays. Let's break it all down right here, right now. Jesse, no intro video here. Let's just dive right into it, right off the top. I want your immediate reaction when you saw Jeff Hoffman, Toronto Blue Jay, come across the timeline.
And as the show's dad, off to the races we go. And time to saddle up and off we go. And time to bring in some offensive pieces. That's what I thought. I was like, we actually are alive in free agency.
Jeez, Jesse. All we do is get some positive news. We got a signing in here, and you're already off making the puns. You must be thrilled to get Jeff Hoffman in here, Jesse, as am I. Let's just get right into it with what Jeff Hoffman is. For those of you who might not know or who have been living under a rock, Jeff Hoffman is one of the best relief pitchers in all of baseball. In fact, just last year with the Phillies, he had an ERA in the low twos. He throws 97 miles per hour, 32 years old, was an all-star last season. Like I said, 2.17 ERA with a FIP that was even better than that. Struck out a third of the batters he faced, Jesse. Absolute peak stuff, dominant swing and miss potential in the back end of our bullpen. Something the Blue Jays probably haven't had coming out of our pen since maybe peak Jordan Romano, maybe even earlier than that. He immediately goes into the list of one of the better, continuing a run, I suppose, of very good Blue Jays closers we've had over the past decade or so.
Oh, definitely. Like even thinking about the short time we had Jordan Hicks when we picked him up from St. Louis a couple of years ago, like he is that type of closer. Yes, or reliever, I should say, but he has that opportunity to close, as Ross Atkins said in an interview after we signed him. This guy, in full circle moment, he started as a J, then was part of the Troy Tulowitzki trade all the way back in 2015 with. So now it's like he's finally getting that moment to be with the team that drafted him. So like maybe that helped us. There is some other speculations why we had gone for such a good deal when the people thought he would be up there with the Tanner Scott in price range. But I'm happy he's a J, and it's cool to think about that. It is a full circle moment. Like he was drafted by the Jays, and now he's finally getting his opportunity to be a J.
Yes, we will get into all of those pieces more in this episode, why he signed for cheaper than we maybe thought he would, what happened with there. We'll talk about him, maybe why we're not using him as a starter. But Jesse, I'm just hyped. I'm so pumped. I want to share some just fun stats, some build the hype train a little bit with Jeff Hoffman here before we get on to the nitty gritty stuff. Jesse, have you looked at Jeff Hoffman's Baseball Savant page?
You can't say I have, but I know. Even without looking at it, I know it's nasty.
Oh, my God. Do yourself a treat. Get over there. Take a look at what he has done because it is nasty, my guy. He is 90th percentile or better in things like expected ERA, expected batting average, his chase percentage, his whiff percentage, his strikeout percentage. He also doesn't walk many guys, Jesse. I think his strikeout to walk ratio out of all of Major League relievers was definitely top 10. It might have been top 5. And over the last few seasons, too, only 3 guys in baseball have struck out more percentage of their batters, relievers, than Jeff Hoffman has. And that's like Aroldis Chapman. I think Kirby Yates is one of them. And I forget the other name there too. But, Josh Hader. Yeah, Josh Hader is the other name. Like that is the type of level reliever we are getting here with Jeff Hoffman. Jesse, on our full-length episode last week, we were trying to pin down, okay, well, who leads the Blue Jays in saves? We've kind of brought it over. We were like Chad Green, I guess, but we weren't really in love with it. Well, not even 24 hours later, we get our answer. It's Jeff Hoffman with the bullet.
Oh, 100%. And, like, you talking those numbers and all that, I was just thinking, just talk dirty to me with all that. Like that's just the sexiest numbers. Like, you should be in the Playboy Mansion with how sexy those numbers sound, like, for us baseball freaks. Like, those numbers are scary. The players he's in the group of is elite. Like, God, like, there's our answer for our closer because I was saying Hagen Danner before when he was claimed by the Mariners. Like, this is who I wanted from the get-go. And you can even go in the episodes back. I mentioned Jeff Hoffman will be a Blue Jay. When we were thinking who was and all that. So, like, I think I know ball, and like just hearing that, seeing that is just like a chef's kiss to like what bringing Hoffman to this bullpen is right now, and now we can really position our bullpen to that elite level and have the pitchers where we really want them instead of playing like Chad Green at the closer or Swanson in the eighth.
Mm-hmm. And we'll touch on that in this episode here too. I want to get into what it means for the rest of the bullpen and all that other fallout as well. That slider, Jesse, is going to be a treat. I think 45% whiff rate on that slider alone. I just read a Jeff Hoffman article posted by ESPN that basically said he just learned that he can just try to throw it down the middle every single time, change his grip, and the pitches will go in different directions. And that's why he attacked the zone so much. Came out there and just dominated. And Jesse, I'm going to ask you the same question that I ended last episode with. Give me a saves total for Jeff Hoffman this season with the Toronto Blue Jays.
43.
43. Wow. The Blue Jays are going to have to win a lot more games for him to get up to 43. I was going to go 29 was my number. But maybe he has like the Ryan Helsley season from last year where the Jays pitching and defense is just good enough. All of our wins are close games. And he does rack up the saves because he is that automatic. That would be fantastic.
Having seen the Jays the past few years, we never have easy wins. It's always some close games.
And that's the way this team is built, too. It's going to be a lot of that. I was a little surprised with Jeff Hoffman, Jesse, because all offseason when we had been talking about free agents we wanted to see the Blue Jays get in here, I kind of dismissed the high-end free agent relief pitcher market because the Blue Jays never really seemed to want to invest money in relievers. Like the only relievers they had signed to big deals, I've said this before, were Jimmy Garcia twice now, Chad Green, and then Shun Yamaguchi. So I really did not think that the Toronto Blue Jays were going to put this money forward for a relief pitcher, even with how bad the bullpen was. So you were kind of more on this train than I was. I'm actually kind of surprised that the Blue Jays chose to go this money this way.
Oh, like I was definitely on this train, but like again, like you said, it's not many players we've ever or relievers we've signed to deals like that. Like you only mentioned three, like Chad Green, Garcia, and Shun Yamaguchi. Like two of them are still on the team. One of them we didn't even make it past the first season. So seeing us sign him for this long of a term too is definitely shocking in the history of the Blue Jays.
To me, what I think happened here, and we can use this time, I guess, to talk about him shutting down the Baltimore Orioles, is that I think the Jays have like a price range and a spreadsheet basically to if they agree to this, then we sign him. And I think because the price got cheap enough down to about an 11 million AAV, the Jays are like, yep, we take that talent with that price tag every time. Let's talk about lots of ways we could go, but let's talk about the Baltimore Orioles because screw the Orioles and missed out on Jeff Hoffman here. Reports came out shortly after the signing was announced that the Orioles actually had an agreement with Jeff Hoffman for a 3-year, $40 million deal. And ultimately, when he got in to look at the physical, turned it down. A report did just come out that the Orioles did still offer another contract, though, with a lower AAV. So they weren't completely turned down by the physical. And the Blue Jays, obviously, they passed their physical, right? So they know things are good there. Two things, I guess, then. Are you worried at all about the shoulder issue that maybe Jeff Hoffman has here? And the second thing is, how much is he going to burn the Baltimore Orioles later this season?
Worried? Not really, because it's not a 1-year deal. Like, if we have him for 3 years, like if say 1 year is not subpar or he misses time because of the shoulder, we have those 2 other years. Do I hope that's not the case? Yes. And how much would it nice it be to make the Orioles cry and suffer and be like, why could and hate their GMs like we hate ours most of the time, except for days like today? Will be the icing on the cake, and also when he shuts down our other AL East rivals.
I hope that Jeff Hoffman absolutely shoves against the Baltimore Orioles this year. Every time he gets into a game against them, I want him 3 up, 3 down, strike out 2 of the 3 batters and make them just look embarrassing. And on top of that, too, I hope we crush Andrew Kittredge this year, who they ultimately decided to sign over Jeff Hoffman. I hope this burns in their face so badly and that Jeff Hoffman absolutely puts it together. And maybe we can bring back that rivalry a little bit with the Baltimore Orioles.
Oh, that'd be great. And also just have that light show, his entrance when he comes out.
Yeah. I didn't even think of that. We're going to have to get a Jeff Hoffman light show in here now. What do you think that's going to look like?
Me being like the opponent, I was thinking use like the David Hasselhoff
Nice. Yeah.
from Baywatch. He's like the Baywatch musical coming out like that. That'd be kind of funny.
From what I remember from seeing Jeff Hoffman in the postseason with the Phillies too, is that he's a very animated guy. Like he's in there, he'll yell, he'll scream, he'll get pumped up. He fits that closer mentality that you have there. Yeah, like type guy. So I'm very excited to cheer on for Jeff Hoffman this year. For me, I have a little bit of concern with the shoulder, I guess, but the fact that Baltimore was able to still want to make a contract offer to him, and the Blue Jays, they cleared their physical. And like I've said it before, like what pitcher isn't an injury risk, right? If he's pitching in spring training and has no setbacks and is full go by the end of spring, then I think we're going to be just fine. Just watch this, though, this spring. If he is slow this spring, doesn't get ramped up, if the velocity looks a little down, then maybe we start to get a little bit concerned. But until I see that, I'm operating as it's all systems go. We get true Jeff Hoffman going forward.
No, exactly. Like definitely especially with what happened with Gosman last spring and all that with his shoulder. It's like if it is, just let it rest. Don't rush him for like have him only do one spring training start. Let him have a couple. Let him get warmed up. Yeah, if he misses a bit of the season, sure, but we need him for the crucial times. If we're we need him full go for when. If we're going for the pennant, which would be a miracle with how this roster is, or if we're going for the wild card down that stretch to clinch it, that's when we need him at his peak, not in April and May, because we have those other guys. We have Chad Green who's done it. We have Amy Garcia. We have Eric Swanson. Like we have those pitchers who can do it. So I'd rather have Hoffman in peak form, like flamethrowing. Save after save when it's the games are the most crucial down the stretch.
Yeah, make sure he's good to go, right? I'm with you, my guy. Manage it when you need to. The Jays aren't going to win much this season anyway, at least we don't think. So it's good to manage him, make sure he's ready to go when the next time the Blue Jays are in that playoff rush. I get it. And when you think about this, and remember too, Jesse, like we only got 13 innings out of Jordan Romano last year, right? So it's basically a wash. So if he gives you anything like that, and think about this too, with Jordan Romano signing with the Phillies, and Jeff Hoffman now signing with the Toronto Blue Jays, it's almost like we just made a trade for Jordan Romano and gave them $4 million, and we get back Jeff Hoffman fourth and then also extend him for 2 years. You make that trade 10 times out of 10, 100 times out of 100 if you are the Toronto Blue Jays. And that's essentially kind of what happened here throughout the two transactions.
No, exactly. And like even thinking about Hoffman's time with the Phillies, the only reason why he was even on the Phillies was because he was pitching simulated games when Harper was coming back from his Tommy John surgery.
Oh, I remember that. Yes.
And Harper went literally to the pro scouts and saying, who is this guy and why is he not on our roster? This guy is nasty and he is a star. And literally right after he said that, Hoffman was signed, brought to the Major League roster.
And dominated ever since then.
Yeah.
Yes. And now he's, $33 million richer. I had forgot all about that Bryce Harper story, but I'm glad you had brought that up because I remember it completely. Yeah. Good stuff. And he's going to make other hitters look that way here. Jesse, let's talk about the decision then, because there were some rumors early this offseason about maybe they use Jeff Hoffman as a starter. And when I first saw this news come out across the wire today, I thought, hey, you can buy me into using Jeff Hoffman as a starter. He started in the past. He was a starter when he was a Blue Jays prospect. His pitch repertoire looks like it could play well as a starting pitcher. Do you think then the Blue Jays ultimately are going to maybe try that in the future to get him to start? Or do you think with the shoulder injury, it ultimately means like, no, we're not going to mess with what's happening here. We're going to leave you in the pen where we know you can succeed?
I think right now they're not going to mess with him being a starter just because how thin our bullpen is right now and like how crucial it will be right now until we have that pitching depth again, like when like all our Tommy John guys are all back in that. Mm-hmm. And also realistically and within the next year to 2 years, so like this year and next year, we're going to have Manoah back. We're going to have Tiedemann back. We'll have Barriera back. We'll have a lot of our pitching prospects who are now recovering from either their brace surgery or a full Tommy Johns. They'll all be back, so our depth will be growing. Yes, that means Gosman and Bassett and all that could be and all that could be gone free agency. But again, I feel like doing that experiment with Hoffman to be a starter could backfire really badly, like kind of like how with Pearson, and why I feel like Tiedemann should be in the bullpen.
I was going to bring that up with the Blue Jays they really screwed around Nate Pearson by leaving him as a starter too long. And I would argue they did the same thing with Aaron Sanchez. Although Aaron Sanchez, different story. I think it was the tacky balls that caused issues with his finger. Different story, Aaron Sanchez. This is not about Aaron Sanchez, but I agree with you there. Then to me, the incentives things with getting more money for more innings pitched that he throws this season doesn't really matter then if he's going to be a closer. Maybe the Blue Jays are just thinking, yeah, there's no way we're ever going to pay him that $39 million. Or you know what? You put him out there and then you just kind of see how this season plays out. You never know, right? Maybe Ryan Burr turns into a stud. Brandon Little becomes one of the better left-handed relievers in baseball. Zach Pop isn't poop anymore. And then all of a sudden you have an influx of bullpen arms, and then you could try to transition Hoffman into a starter. I guess it leaves your options open a little bit more. One more thought I had here, Jesse. What does this mean then with Yariel Rodriguez?
I feel like this is right now the fifth spot is until our depth is. Our depth is either growing growing by addition or until it grows from addition, or even if it is from players getting healthy like Manoah and all those other players they just named. Like it's his until it shouldn't be, or we make a trade, say for like a starting pitcher, or even sign like Jose Quintana, that would just be really rumored right now, moving really fast, rapidly. Hearing those rumors about Quintana and Santerre could be signed within the next 18 hours.
Yes. So let's talk a little bit then about what's next, because you and I were kind of spending most of this winter assuming that Yariel Rodriguez was probably going to go to the bullpen because we figured the Blue Jays would sign a starter. And that is still very possible here. The names you mentioned there, add Nick Pivetta to that list too of the guys the Blue Jays have been interested in. Do you think then, so I guess my question is, what's next on the pitching front here? Are we going with another starting pitcher then? Are we going to try to add maybe another high leverage relief guy here? What happens next for this Blue Jays pitching core? Or are we just done? Is this it?
I definitely don't think we're done, because we need to add. I hope not to agree. We need those two offensive weapons in the lineup. And there are the four names that are being mentioned for the Jays, and three of them, or two are Santander, or three are Santander, Bregman, and Alonso. But there's also still the possibility of the Alec Bohm trade, even though their price is huge that Philly's asking for him. But or even Brett Beatty from the Mets. There's a lot of names out there that could possibly be enticed. Or Yohan Mercado too. Those are a lot of names coming out for the offense. I know, right, with this Hoffman training, we DFA'd Brett Gus.
Yes.
Who exactly? Who is he? No one knows. He was a good name. He came in. Yeah, he's a guy. But I feel like if we do go to the open market sales more, I feel like our next move we make is going to be a trade, not a signing. That's just my opinion. But I definitely feel we will target another starting pitcher, which we both were talking in our episode yesterday of who we think it might be, and would love to be, and Roki Sasaki. So if that's the case, then I definitely will put Yariel Rodriguez as a swingman if we get Sasaki.
Yeah, if we sign Roki Sasaki, I'm going to be over the moon. And look, let's talk a little bit about money here, because actually, no, one more thing. Okay, we'll continue off your point before we get into money. But if the Blue Jays sign, say, an Anthony Santander and then one of the mid-tier starting pitchers here. So maybe Jack Flaherty's too high, but maybe it's like a Kyle Gibson type. Maybe it's a Chris Flexen type, Lance Lynn type, just a guy who is probably not going to be solid, but it can eat up some innings for you. And then maybe we add another bullpen guy. Is that a good enough offseason for you, along with Jeff Hoffman? Or is there still more?
Like I said, we need at least 2 offensive pieces and a starter. So 3 more pieces. If it's a elite back end of the rope bullpen to add with Hoffman, so say if that shoulder is an issue, and say like we add like a Kirby Yates or even in a trade of Ryan Helsley, or even a Kenley Jan. Oh, Helsley would be great, or even like a Kenley Jansen who's still out there, like that. I'd be fine with those type of moves, like to help there. But like we need the offense now, like. We have enough defense. We have decent enough pitching. It's offense right now for that. I say we need.
I'm with you, and I do think the next move the Blue Jays make probably is going to come on the offensive side of the ball, unless it is Roki Sasaki next week, but we will see about that going forward. I do want to talk money, as I brought up a little earlier here. So, with this signing, the AA or the total payroll for the Toronto Blue Jays now is roughly around $240 million. Now, I'm not fully embraced on the luxury tax and exactly how it works, but I do believe this takes us over the first threshold. I could be wrong about this, but I think it does. So therefore, if that is the case and you are already in the first threshold of the luxury tax, then you might as well go up right to that next cap, because the penalty is the same, whether you're paying $240 million or I believe it's like $265 million. You might as well. Like, the worst thing you want to do is what the Cubs did last year and just go barely over that line. Like, if there's no fee really for getting up to that line, then spend the extra $25 million to build this team. I think that's absolutely what the Blue Jays are going to do, and they absolutely should do, which means more moves are coming and more impact moves are coming for the Toronto Blue Jays. I like where this is all headed here.
Oh, definitely. Like, what's literally about to happen is everything we've been screaming like about 2 months ago. It's better late than never, I guess. But like, thankfully, we can use possibly some of the money that we're going to use for Soto if we got him to spread it across the roster instead of just the one guy and then be totally screwed everywhere else.
Yeah, I could be wrong on that, like I said, but we'll backtrack and we'll get to that a little bit later. Or we'll bring someone on who knows a little bit more about money and they can talk about stuff like that. Very good stuff there. You did mention it, Jesse. Brent DeGus, DFA'd. Are we going to miss this? Is this a mistake? Is this the move of the offseason that we're going to regret 5 years from now, or just nothing?
I guess DeGus was wrong about bringing him in.
I think you're right. The Hoff is on, and the Gus. You know what? You're the man with the puns, not me here on this episode today. I'll leave that to you. You're the expert on that. All right, Jesse. I think we've covered most of the major things here for Jeff Hoffman and the Toronto Blue Jays, and we've kind of given a good picture on what comes next. Do you think this is the biggest free agent move the Blue Jays make, or is there still more coming?
I think this is just but Andres Jimenez was like the kindling and all that. I feel like Jeff and all the twigs, if you think of a campfire, I think the Jeff Hoffman is the flint where you get that nice spark to start the light it. I feel like the next move will be the first flame. And then it'll go into the final piece will be the freaking like huge fire that turns into a forest fire or something. And
too soon.
A little too soon about what's going on in California. My prayers with him, but like that's like this is going to be the inferno that the final will be the inferno.
And you and I will be sitting by that campfire roasting marshmallows, just like all the other Blue Jays fans around here. I love that analogy, my guy. Wow.
Eating some s'mores.
Eating some s'mores, my man. The Jeff Hoffman themed s'mores is going to be fantastic. It reminds me of
I need some more s'mores of some more transactions.
some s'more transactions, yeah. Man, you can tell it's getting late, and we're getting excited when we're making campfire puns on Buds and Blue Jays here. But hey, we're excited, right? Jeff Hoffman's here. He's a Blue Jay. Very excited to see what comes down in terms of just watchability too. Jeff Hoffman's just so fun to watch. He's not like Blake Snell where he's good, but you kind of hate watching him pitch. Like Jeff Hoffman is going to be awesome. And I'm so excited that he gets to be a Blue Jays Blue full circle. I guess puts a bet, I guess,
and
the
we
Troy
get
Tulowitzki trade. But yeah.
And we get to see him on opening day, the season opener when we're there.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's so fun. One of the players, along with Andres Jimenez, I suppose, I'm very excited to get to see this spring training. I think that's all the notes I had on Jeff Hoffman. He's going to be so fun to watch here. Factor that in, as we go. If you're watching in the chat and you have a question you want answered about Jeff Hoffman, curious, or if you just want to type in "Go Jeff" or it's Hoff time or Hoff we go or whatever Jeff Hoffman pun you want to throw in there,
Hoff
we'll
to
put
the
you
races.
up on the screen. Hoff to the races. There it is. We'll chuck you up there. Feel free to leave that. But Jesse, any last thoughts or departing words or words of wisdom for Jeff Hoffman here?
Welcome back to the organization, and let's go for this ride, and let's hope for a Hoff start for you.
All right, my guy. I love it. Thank you very much. Next episode for us, as promised, please make sure also you are here for that. We are going to try to get a guy on from Philadelphia to give us a more in-depth version of Jeff Hoffman. We will let the dust settle a little bit. We just wanted to get our emergency take and our emergency reaction out here on Jeff Hoffman. And if you guys are watching, please like the video, subscribe. It's going to be a big season for us here on Buds and Blue Jays. A lot of good things coming. So please make sure you hit that notification bell. Turn us on, give us the 5-star review on all the platforms. And also, I've got some exciting news that personally I wanted to share, but we're getting into the article writing business here. Starting tomorrow, there will be articles written from us published on a friend's website. We will post links to that everywhere, but stay tuned for that because that's going to be very, very exciting coming from us as well. And hey, we'll have something up probably about Jeff Hoffman as well. So make sure you stay tuned for that.
Couldn't say it better. I'm definitely excited for this next chapter for us.
All right, guys, thank you all for listening. This was an emergency edition of Buds and Blue Jays. Go Jeff Hoffman. We will see you guys next week to recap the fallout. And like always, follow us on all the social media channels, and we will get there. But for Jesse Tricio, I'm Jesse Burrell. Thank you all for listening, and let's go Blue Jays.
Thanks, guys, and off we go.
Off we go. Woo!